Hey guys, it's Eric with Painting Business Pro. In this video, we're going to talk about something about sales that I think is so important and makes such a huge difference in people's sales success. And that is, it's based on a quote I remember from a speaker I heard years ago. So there's this guy named Jack Daly. Jack, and then D-A-L-Y. He's a speaker, professional speaker. He's built some killer companies. The guy's been an entrepreneur since he was, this tall, which that might even be out of the camera. All right, so he was really young entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur his whole life. The guy is just wildly successful in his business career. And now, and for the last 20 or 30 years, he's been a professional speaker, focusing mostly on sales training. And I had the opportunity to see him speak in about 2008-ish. So I was about 21 years old, something like that, maybe 22. And I learned so much from Jack. And he actually really was the one that got me inspired to really start setting goals in a whole new way. I heard about setting goals for a long time, but then he's the one that really got me setting goals. And now, goals are so impactful in my life. And I spend a lot of time all year supporting my team and just making and following their goals. So that was one huge impact he made on me, but there's a quote he had during the sales training that stuck with me. And it's something that I talk about almost every week with people in our company who do sales. So he said, and he wrote this in a big white, flip chart. And he wrote, "When you care more about the customer than you do about making the sale, you will sell more than anyone else out there." When you care more about the customer than you care about making the sale, you'll sell more than anyone else out there. Now, that's so true. So in our company, what happens is when people start to get into a sales slump, or they don't book a few jobs in a row, and they're paid at least bonus on commission, and they start not making sales, they start getting really worried about it. They start getting really worried about making sales. And what do you think happens when they start getting worried about making sales? They stop making any sales because they are so focused on making the sale. Now, we want to really look in this video at how can you apply this? How does this even make any sense? It's of course we want to make sales. Everybody who's in sales or runs a business wants to make sales. But focusing on making the sale is not how you make sales. And you've got to figure this out for yourself. And when you really get this, you will sell more than anyone else out there. When you discover that when I care more about the customer than I do about making the sale, I sell more than anybody else out there. So what does that look like? So we talk about this a lot in our company. And just last week on a conference call, we talked about this. And one of my business partners was telling a story about years ago when he was a salesperson for us. And one week, we threw a 4-week competition, and we said, anybody who books $80,000 in the next 4 weeks, we give you a $1,500 bonus. So in the first 3 weeks, he booked $79,500. Okay, so he almost hit the goal. He almost hit the 80,000 in the first 3 weeks. He went into the 4th week, and he had 13 estimates set up. He's okay, he's hungry. He's I gotta get that bonus. I gotta get that $1,500 bonus. And by the way, this was back when we paid sales commission for 7%. So at this point, he's made $5,600 in sales commissions in 3 weeks. He's making $1,900 a week in just commissions. And now he's got this opportunity for a $1,500 bonus. So he wants to sell that. One more job. So he goes into his first estimate, and he's all right, I gotta book this. Goes in, doesn't book it. Goes into his next estimate, doesn't book it. Goes 6 estimates, 0 for 6. Now he starts getting kind of freaked out. He gets even more focused on booking the job. 7 estimates, 8 estimates, 9 estimates, 10 estimates, 0. He gets to 0 for 12. It's Sunday. He's got 1 estimate left, and he's on the verge of tears. The poor guy is working so hard. He's so frustrated. I mean, he's been booked the last 3 weeks. He was booking half of his estimates, and now all of a sudden he's not booking anything. And he told this story, and he said, I remember he was defeated. He had like given up on himself. So he was just dealing with himself, and he's like, okay, like I'm okay. Like, look, I don't need this $1,500. In 3 years, I'm not even gonna remember this $1,500. I don't need this bonus. I don't need to book this job. I'm good with it. I don't care if I don't hit this bonus. You know, he kind of like worked himself out of it before his last estimate. He's like, the week's over. I don't need to book it. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to go and like do this estimate and take care of this person. Walks in there and books it. So that day is when he really learned, like, oh my God, you really, truly cannot care about booking the job if you want to book jobs. And I've learned that. My business partner, Ben, has learned that. Hunter's learned that. Anybody who has really learned that, the key to booking jobs is to truly not care about booking it. To be willing to look your customer in the eye and recommend something to them that is what's best for them, but it'll lose you the job. So another example of this is my business partner, Ben. This is a story we tell around here because it makes this point so well. So my best friend, who was the best man at my wedding, he runs a company in town, painting company in town that we compete with from time to time. You know, we're both multi-million-dollar companies in a small town, so we run into each other once in a while. Both our companies grow and grow and grow every year, but once in a while we run into them. So Ben's at an estimate, and he goes in with the contract, and we're competing against my friend. And Ben runs through the contract, and he says, so basically came up with $3,600. And the customer's like, oh, dang, I mean, we got a bid from so-and-so for $2,500 or $2,600, $1,000 less. And Ben's like, oh, really? Okay, well, yeah, can I take a look at it, see if it's the same? And he's looking at him, he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, so like, okay, same warranty, same paint, same prep. Yeah, I mean, he goes, honestly, guys, it looks like they're doing everything that we are. I don't know how they're doing it for $1,000 less than we are, but if you guys are comfortable with them, like if you're just as comfortable with them as you are with us, I'd save the $1,000 and go with them. And they go, all right, we'll go with you. And they sign right there. So how does that work? It's when I care more about the customer, when I do about making the sale, I sell more than anybody else out there. Why? Because customers buy on trust. And when I'm willing to really put them first, I can't just tell them that. I can't bullshit that. But if I'm willing to give them advice that clearly doesn't benefit me, but it clearly benefits them, they can actually trust me. Not because it's a strategy, but because I actually care about them more. If I really care about serving people, people will see that and they'll trust me. And when they trust me, they'll go with me because we're in an industry that doesn't have any trust. There's no trust in this industry because there's a horrible reputation. And nobody is out there doing what I'm telling you right now. Nobody is out there putting the customer first. They're putting themselves first. They're trying to be great service. They're trying to be really great, but ultimately, they're trying to book the job. No. See, I don't care about that because I don't need to book every job. Look, if I book 1 out of 2, I'm doing really, really well. So that means I could go out and do 20 estimates and there's 10 of them. If I don't book 10, I'm kicking ass. And if I go into 100% of my estimates just trying to help people out, I'm going to book half. Because if I build trust with 20 out of 20 people and really put them first, at least half of them are going to go with me just because I put them first. So that's a couple ways to look at it. Now, the other thing I want you to know is that we have something called mirror neurons. This is a brain science thing. So mirror neurons if we're talking, my mirror neurons are mirroring you. So how these things work is if we watch TV and we're watching somebody ski, the neurons that are firing and lighting up in the skier's brain, the same ones are going off in our brain at the same time when we're watching the skier, but they're going on at a much lower energy level in our brain. So in a way, this is like, people call this intuition. or they call it gut feeling, or they say, something just wasn't right about that guy. Something just rubbed me the wrong way over there. See, we used to communicate, as humans, we evolved to communicate through facial expressions and gestures, and we developed these brains and these mirror neurons to survive. They're hardwired into you. They're happening at a subconscious level. And so when you're talking to a customer, you can't fake anything, is the point. You can't fake anything. Because if you fake something, your customer's mirror neuron's going to light up the way yours are. And if you're faking it, they're going to get the vibe or the feeling that you're faking it too. So you can't fake this. And on the other hand, when you really are putting someone else first, they feel that too. And that's what ultimately sells. See, if I'm a customer and I get 3 estimates, and one of them's $2,500, and one of them's $3,300, and one of them is $4,000, I don't know what to believe. Which one's the right price? Should I do the 23? And then I'm like, well, why is that one $2,300? Is that person going to screw me? Is that a bad person? Are they just going to disappear with my money? And then is the 4, is that person just overpricing me, or is that what it really takes to deliver the job we want? And people don't know which price to go with. They don't know. But if they trust you more than anybody else, they trust your price more than anybody else. People buy based on trust. The name of the game is to build trust. And the way you build trust is you put customers first. See, when my team goes out there and they're focused on booking the job, there's little things you do different when you're worried about booking the job. If they say, cool, we want to get a couple other estimates, you get worried about it. And you start like, oh no, like I'm going to lose it. And all of a sudden they pick up on, oh, this guy just really wants to book my job. And they can't trust you as much now. Because you can't trust someone who's trying to book the job. Because what else? Is there anything they kind of fudged? Is there anything they misled me on? Is there something they didn't tell me? You lose a little bit of trust when people pick up on that you're there to book a job. Now, I'm really clear with people like I am here to I absolutely I want to book a house, but I'm really going to put you first, period. So that's the top of the totem pole for me, is I've got to go into my estimates putting the customer first. When you care more about the customer than you do about making the sale, you will sell more than anyone else out there. So that's what I'll leave you with, and that's something you got to go and practice and discover for yourself, because it's really, really powerful, and it's more and more powerful with salespeople too, because people's bonuses and commissions are depending on it. But you want to find people who really just want to put people first, because that's how you sell more than anybody else out there, is genuinely going out there and being of service to people and putting them first. So a little bit of a different lesson from me today. It's not actionable. There's not steps. There's not a system. This is the context for your sales. This is the background. This is how you go into your estimates. And the reality is look, I really, really, really want to sell. And I know that the best way for me to sell jobs is to not worry about selling jobs. And it'd be totally okay to walk out of someone's house without a check, knowing that I took care of them and I helped them out. And I know that if I do that, I will sell the most. I'll let that take care of itself. And if you can discover that for yourself, it'll make sales a hell of a lot more fun and a hell of a lot more productive. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'd love to hear what you're taking away from it or any questions you have, so you can put those in the comments. And this wraps up our 4-week series about building a high-performing sales team. So I hope you got some good value out of it. Hope you learned a lot. And we'll keep the videos coming all year long. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day, and go take care of your customers.